Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The act of beginning something new. They looked forward to the debut of their new product line. Appear for the first time in public. The new ballet that debuts next month at Covent Garden is already sold out. Make one's debut. This young soprano debuts next month at the Metropolitan Opera. Present for the first time to the public. The band debuts a new song or two each month. The presentation of a debutante in society. A written record of a commercial transaction. Something that provides access to get in or get out. Beggars waited just outside the entryway to the cathedral. The act of beginning something new. The act of entering. Something, manuscripts or architectural plans and models or estimates or works of art of all genres etc. Submitted for the judgment of others, as in a competition. An item inserted in a written record. The act of beginning something new. Formally making a person known to another or to the public. The act of beginning something new. The act of starting something for the first time, introducing something new. The act of putting one thing into another. A basic or elementary instructional text. A new proposal. They resisted the introduction of impractical alternatives. The first section of a communication. The act of propelling with force. The act of beginning something new. The act of moving a newly built vessel into the water for the first time. The act of beginning something new. Putting on display for the first time. He attended the unveiling of the statue. Get off the ground. Who started this company? Bulge outward. The time at which something is supposed to begin. They got an early start. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Start a new job. Get going or set in motion. We simply could not start the engine. A line indicating the location of the start of a race or a game. Have a beginning, in a temporal, spatial, or evaluative sense. Prices for these homes start at $250,000. A signal to begin, as in a race. The starting signal was a green light. Bring into being. A turn to be a starter, in a game at the beginning. He got his start because one of the regular pitchers was in the hospital. Set in motion, cause to start. The U.S. started a war in the Middle East. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Who will start? Begin an event that is implied and limited by the nature or inherent function of the direct object. She started the soup while it was still hot. A sudden involuntary movement. He awoke with a start. Begin or set in motion. I start at 8 in the morning. Have a beginning characterized in some specified way. Leave. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. She startled when I walked into the room. The advantage gained by beginning early, as in a race. With an hour's start he will be hard to catch. The act of starting something. Play in the starting lineup. The beginning of anything. It was off to a good start. Serving to begin. The beginning canto of the poem. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The place where something begins, where it springs into being. The Italian beginning of the Renaissance. The act of starting something. He was responsible for the beginning of negotiations. The event consisting of the start of something. The beginning of the war. The first part or section of something. It was a dark and stormy night, is a hackneyed beginning for a story. The time at which something is supposed to begin. An academic exercise in which diplomas are conferred. The act of starting something. Contend against an opponent in a sport, game, or battle. Princeton plays Yale this weekend. Pretend to have certain qualities or state of mind. She plays deaf when the news are bad. Manipulate manually or in one's mind or imagination. She played nervously with her wedding ring. A dramatic work intended for performance by actors on a stage. He wrote several plays but only one was produced on Broadway. The act using a sword, or other weapon, vigorously and skillfully. A weak and tremulous light. The play of light on the water. Gay or light-hearted recreational activity for diversion or amusement. It was all done in play. Activity by children that is guided more by imagination than by fixed rules. Freud believed in the utility of play to a small child. Consider not very seriously. She plays with the thought of moving to Tasmania. Cause to happen or to occur as a consequence. Play a joke. Replay, as a melody. She played the third movement very beautifully. Game. The activity of doing something in an agreed succession. It is still my play. Perform on a stage or theater. She acts in this play. Stake on the outcome of an issue. She played all her money on the dark horse. An attempt to get something. They made a futile play for power. A deliberate coordinated movement requiring dexterity and skill. The runner was out on a play by the shortstop. Engage in recreational activities rather than work. Occupy oneself in a diversion. On weekends I play. Cause to emit recorded audio or video. I'll play you my favorite record. Movement or space for movement. There was too much play in the steering wheel. Behave carelessly or indifferently. The removal of constraints. They gave full play to the artist's talent. Engage in an activity as if it were a game rather than take it seriously. They played games on their opponents. The act of playing for stakes in the hope of winning, including the payment of a price for a chance to win a prize. There was heavy play at the blackjack table. Verbal wit or mockery, often at another's expense but not to be taken seriously. In games or plays or other performances, the time during which play proceeds. Rain stopped play in the fourth inning. Play a role or part. Gielgud played Hamlet. act or have an effect in a specified way or with a specific effect or outcome. This factor played only a minor part in his decision. A preset plan of action in team sports. The coach drew up the plays for her team. A state in which action is feasible. The ball was still in play. A theatrical performance of a drama. The play lasted 2 hours. Be at play. Be engaged in playful activity. Amuse oneself in a way characteristic of children. The kids were playing outside all day. Behave in a certain way. Play safe. Be performed or presented for public viewing. What's playing in the local movie theater? Bet or wager, money. He played $20 on the new horse. Cause to move or operate freely within a bounded space. The engine has a wheel that is playing in a rack. Discharge or direct or be discharged or directed as if in a continuous stream. Play water from a hose. Emit recorded sound. The tape was playing for hours. Employ in a game or in a specific position. They played him on first base. Exhaust by allowing to pull on the line. Play a hooked fish. Make bets. Play the casinos in Trouville. Move or seem to move quickly, lightly, or irregularly. The spotlights played on the politicians. Participate in games or sport. We played hockey all afternoon. Perform music on a musical instrument. He plays the flute. Perform on a certain location. The prodigy played Carnegie Hall at the age of 16. Play on an instrument. The band played all night long. Pretend to be somebody in the framework of a game or playful activity. Let's play like I am mommy. Put a card or piece into play during a game, or act strategically as if in a card game. He is playing his cards close to his chest. Shoot or hit in a particular manner. She played a good backhand last night. Use or move. I had to play my queen. Use to one's advantage. She plays on her client's emotions. Utilization or exercise. The play of the imagination. Carry out or perform an action. Get something done. Give a performance of something. Horowitz is performing at Carnegie Hall tonight. Perform a function. Who will perform the wedding? Bring something new to an environment. A new word processor was introduced. Bring before the public for the first time, as of an actor, song, etc. Put or introduce into something. Be a precursor of. Furnish with a preface or introduction. Cause to come to know personally. Introduce the new neighbors to the community. Bring in a new person or object into a familiar environment. The new secretary introduced a nasty rumor. Place, fit, or thrust something into another thing. Bring in or establish in a new place or environment. Introduce a rule. Put before a body. Introduce legislation. Bring something new to an environment. formally making a person known to another or to the public. A show or display. The act of presenting something to sight or view. The presentation of new data. A visual representation of something. Obstetrics. Position of the fetus in the uterus relative to the birth canal. Cesarean sections are sometimes the result of abnormal presentations. The activity of formally presenting something, as a prize or reward. She gave the trophy but he made the presentation. The act of making something publicly available. Presenting news or other information by broadcasting or printing it. He prepared his presentation carefully in advance. The act of presenting a proposal. Formally making a person known to another or to the public. A brief introductory passage to a piece of popular music. Stimulation that calls up, draws forth, a particular class of behaviors. An act that sets in motion some course of events. Reasoning from detailed facts to general principles. An electrical phenomenon whereby an electromotive force, EMF, is generated in a closed circuit by a change in the flow of current. A formal entry into an organization or position or office. He was ordered to report for induction into the army. The act of bringing about something, especially at an early time. The induction of an anesthetic state. Changing the pronunciation of a borrowed word to agree with the borrower's phonology. The proceeding whereby a foreigner is granted citizenship. The introduction of animals or plants to places where they flourish but are not indigenous. The quality of being brought into conformity with nature. Changing the pronunciation of a borrowed word to agree with the borrower's phonology. The naturalization in English of many Italian words. The proceeding whereby a foreigner is granted citizenship. The introduction of animals or plants to places where they flourish but are not indigenous. The quality of being brought into conformity with nature. The introduction, usually by an advertising campaign, of a new product or product line. The introduction of something new. It signaled the ushering in of a new era. Arts are skills that require public performance.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.